Welcome to Karma Chronicles. Please like the video and subscribe. Let's begin.
They were already outside when the van pulled up. My mom in gardening gloves, standing stiff by the porch steps, and my dad half hidden behind the screen door. The rescue transport van rolled to a slow stop in front of their house, right next to the old maple tree I used to climb. I could feel the entire block watching, kids on bikes slowing down, one neighbor pausing mid-lawn mow, a couple across the street standing frozen with a leash slack in their hands. I stepped out first. Uniform crisp, boots tight-laced, fire marshal patch clean and sharp on my chest. Two paramedics followed behind me, each one carrying gear like we were prepping a disaster scene. The air felt like it dropped 10 degrees. My mom took one step forward, squinting like she wasn't sure it was really me. My dad finally stepped outside, but kept one hand on the doorframe. "Is everything okay?" my mom asked, her voice small but tense. She looked past me at the van, then at the paramedics. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. I just kept walking toward them until I hit the edge of the porch. "I told you I was coming for him," I said. "Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from?" Nobody said a word. The whole street was dead quiet. No birds, no engines, not even wind. Just silence, like the second before lightning hits. My mom looked like she might cry, but not because she was sad, because she didn't understand. Or maybe she did, and didn't want to believe it. My dad stepped down one stair, arms folded. "This isn't necessary," he said, trying to sound casual, but his voice cracked halfway through. I didn't answer. The paramedics flanked me, one checking a tablet, the other adjusting his gloves. This wasn't for show. This was procedure. A kid down the street dropped his basketball and let it bounce across the pavement. I didn't look over. I was locked in, 100% focused. My mom opened her mouth again, but nothing came out. I lifted the folder in my hand, didn't open it yet, didn't need to. "You can let us in," I said, "or you can make this official." She stepped back. My dad didn't. His jaw tensed. The medic on my right moved up a step. "Sir, we just need access." "This is a medical pickup." Still no answer. I could feel the moment stretch out, tight, hot, electric. Then the screen door creaked open. My dad stepped aside. I nodded once and walked past them into the house. 2 days before I stepped foot on that porch, my phone lit up with Caleb's name at 7:42 in the morning. He never called. We texted sometimes, mostly about football or dumb family gossip, but actual calls? That meant something was wrong. I answered with a, "Hey, what's up?" But he didn't even waste time. "You talked to your mom lately?" he asked. His voice sounded tense, almost like he was whispering. "Not really." "Why?" "It's your granddad. Dude, he looks bad. Like, scary bad." I sat up in bed, the sheet tangled around my legs. "What do you mean bad?" "He's lost a ton of weight. Like, he's coughing so hard I thought he was going to pass out when I saw him. He looked straight through me, like he didn't even know I was there. That hit me like a punch. Wait, you saw him?" "Sort of. I stopped by unannounced last weekend, brought some food. Your mom answered the door and said he was resting. I could see him in the living room behind her. Looked like a damn ghost. She blocked the door and told me to leave it on the porch. And you just left?" She wasn't giving me a choice, man. I didn't want to cause a scene in front of him. I was already climbing out of bed, grabbing my sweatshirt off the chair. No one told me anything. Nobody said he was sick. "Because they're hiding it," Caleb said, quiet but firm. "I've seen him every couple months since your grandma passed. This was different. Something's not right." I didn't even say goodbye. I just hung up and called my parents right away. My mom answered, voice cheerful like it was just another Tuesday. "Hi, honey," she said. "Everything okay? Is Grandpa sick?" She hesitated for half a second, just enough for me to feel it. "He's just tired lately." "You know how it is. He's getting up there." Caleb said he's coughing, lost a bunch of weight, barely responsive. Why didn't anyone tell me? Well, he doesn't need a parade of people stressing him out. "What he needs is a doctor," I snapped. "No, no, no." "We are not doing that," she said, her tone changing fast. "He hates hospitals. You know that, and doctors always want to poke and test and drug people up." "So what's your plan then?" "Let him rot in the recliner until he stops breathing?" "Don't be dramatic." That made my blood boil. "Mom, I'm not asking. What's actually going on?" "He's fine. He's old. He's resting. We've got it under control. I switched gears and tried Dad's line. He picked up on the third ring. Hey, kiddo. Dad, what's going on with Grandpa? He's just slowing down. Same thing happened with my uncle. Don't get all worked up. I took a breath. Did a doctor see him? We're not dragging him into a clinic just so they can run their little tests and scare him. He doesn't want that. Did he say that? Or are you deciding for him? There was a pause. We know what's best. You're not here. You don't understand. I couldn't believe how calm they were. Like this wasn't a big deal. No, I'm not there. And apparently that's the only reason I'm still in the dark. I didn't wait for a response. I just ended the call and stared at the phone for a second, heart pounding. Something was way off. They weren't just ignoring his condition. They were hiding it. Like they wanted him tucked away in that house, getting weaker and no one to ask questions. That wasn't just old age. That was control, and I wasn't playing along. I stood in the middle of the room, fists clenched, thinking about the last real talk I had with Grandpa after Grandma's funeral. He told me, if anything ever happens and I can't speak up, you do it for me. I'd nodded back then, not really thinking it'd come to this. But now? Parents, I headed straight for the hall closet where I kept the fireproof box. I hadn't opened it in years, had to dig past old tax files, my birth certificate, a spare passport I never used, but there it was, a crisp manila folder sealed with a paperclip. Grandpa's name written in block letters across the tab, in my handwriting. Inside, the original medical power of attorney form, notarized 2 witnesses. And behind it, folded like a secret, was the letter he gave me the week after Grandma's funeral. I unfolded it. His handwriting was jagged but strong. If I can't stand up for myself, I'm trusting you to do it. No one else. I stood there for a minute, staring at the page. My throat felt tight, but I didn't let it slow me down. I grabbed my laptop, scanned everything, and sent the files to one person, Gabe. We used to run rescue drills together back in Fire Academy. He was the guy who always volunteered to crawl through the smoke first. Now he ran logistics for a private elder transport company based out of Springfield. I called him right after the files sent. He picked up with, "What's up, trouble?" "I need a private medical pickup. Non-compliant family, compromised elder, legally covered. You available?" He paused just a second. "Send the documents." "Just did." Another pause, longer this time. Then, "Okay. Yeah, we can do it. Might be messy, but it's legal. You want transport support or full med team?" "Full team." He didn't argue. "Give me till morning. I'll pull my medic lead and backup driver." "You're handling intake?" "Yeah. Already working on that?" As soon as we hung up, I called Dr. Lena Shaw. She worked the overnight shifts at the free community clinic outside of Salem. We'd volunteered together during fire season last year, and she had the kind of backbone I needed right now. I gave her the basics. He's elderly, mid-80s, showing signs of pneumonia. Severe cough, thin, weak, isolated. Families blocking care. I've got POA and a transport team lined up. Can you admit? She didn't even hesitate. I'll get him a bed. We'll run full workup and stabilize. When? 2 days, mid-morning. I'll confirm exact ETA tonight. Text me the legal docs. I'll start the chart. By midnight, I had a folder on my desktop labeled Op Grandfather. Inside, transport contracts, med intake forms, ID scans, insurance info, and a 3-step timeline. Step 1, confirm team. Step 2, route and arrival schedule. Step 3, confrontation plan. And yeah, I planned that part too. I knew how my parents would react. They'd try to downplay everything, smile, stall, ask me to talk privately, like they weren't standing in the way of actual care. So I listed out every move in a bullet point doc, talking points, legal citations, backup printouts in case the internet failed. I even mapped out the block, where the van would park, where we'd stage entry, which side door would avoid the nosy neighbor with the police scanner. By the time I shut the laptop, it was almost 3 a.m. I pressed my uniform that same night. Not just because it was protocol, but because it made a statement. I wanted to walk in that house like I belonged there more than they did. Like I was the one protecting him, because at that point I was. They had their reasons, sure, but that didn't mean they were right. And I wasn't about to let some weak excuses bury the one person in that family who ever gave a damn about me when I was down. The plan was locked. Next up, execution. I barely slept. By 7 a.m., I was staring at my phone, thumb hovering over the call button. One last shot. One last chance for them to stop pretending. I hit dial. Mom picked up on the second ring. "Morning, sweetie," she said like nothing was happening. "Is Grandpa awake?" I asked straight to it. "He's resting. We just had breakfast. He's doing fine." I leaned against the counter, squeezing the edge so tight my hand went numb. "He's not fine. You need to stop saying that." "Oh, honey. He's just old. He's slowing down. This happens." "You're overreacting." I felt it bubbling up in my chest, but I kept my voice low. "You're not a doctor, Mom. He needs real care. We're handling it." "No, you're not. You're ignoring it. I talked to Caleb. I talked to doctors. You're not handling anything." She huffed like I was the one being unreasonable. "You haven't even been here. You don't know what it's like day to day." That was their favorite line. "I'm not there. I don't get it. I'm dramatic." "You remember he gave me medical proxy, right?" I said, sharp and slow. "You remember that document?" "Oh, that old thing? That was just for emergencies. This is the emergency. He doesn't want doctors." He told us that I was done. I ended the call without saying goodbye. Called Dad next. He picked up and said, "What now?" "What now is that he's sick and no one's doing anything about it." "He's not sick. He's 87. Old people get tired. You're blowing this way out of proportion." "You're right. He is old, which means when he does get sick, he can't afford to wait. This isn't about aging. This is about you pretending he's fine so you don't have to deal with it." There was silence. Then he said, "You're not here. You don't understand. I nearly threw the phone across the room. You're right. I'm not there. But that changes tomorrow." He didn't ask what I meant. He didn't say anything at all. I got to work. First, I printed 4 sets of everything: medical proxy, his ID, his Medicare card, the scanned insurance policy, and the letter Grandpa wrote me. I laminated the originals and kept the extras in a backup folder. Then I reviewed his last known prescription refill. He hadn't filled it since April. That told me everything I needed. I called Dr. Shaw again. "Still good for tomorrow?" "All set," she said. "Bring him straight to intake." "We'll be ready." I made a checklist and went over it twice. Contact numbers, transport route, expected resistance points, front door, emotional appeal, possible police call. I had documents prepped for each one. Control wasn't optional. This was going public. It had to look clean. No chaos. Last stop was the dry cleaner. I dropped off my uniform before lunch and told them I needed it pressed, no starch, by end of day. The woman behind the counter raised an eyebrow. "Big day tomorrow?" I nodded once. "Yeah, real big." I picked it up that night, hung it on the back of my closet door, touched the badge just once before walking away. They thought they could stall this. Thought if they played dumb long enough, it would go away. But this wasn't going away, and I wasn't giving them another chance to fail him. At 6:12 the next morning, I parked 1 block down from my parents' house, windows cracked, uniform on, coffee untouched in the cup holder. I was already running hot, my mind moving faster than my heartbeat, and that was saying something. I texted Gabe, "ETA 10 minutes? Status?" His reply came back instantly. "Van loaded. Meds prepped. Clipboard ready. We're rolling." I stepped out and walked the block like I was checking hydrants. I knew the layout, the street patterns, which yards had dogs, and which windows belonged to neighborhood watchers. Same block I grew up on, only now I was walking it with gloves in my back pocket and a signed medical proxy in my chest folder. From the corner, I could see the house, curtains drawn tight, my dad's truck in the driveway. Then the side door opened. My mom stepped out holding a casserole dish wrapped in foil. Mrs. Langford from next door was handing her a container. They exchanged a few words, couldn't hear them. But I saw my mom's head shake. Firm. She handed it back, turned away without saying much. Didn't even invite her in. That's when I saw it. Top right window. His room. A pale shape moved behind the curtain. Just a shadow, really, but the shape of the head, the slight stoop in the shoulders. That was him. My grandfather. Still upright. Still watching. Something about that tore through me. He was alive. Still hanging on. Still waiting. And I wasn't going to let him keep waiting. Gabe texted again. "We're in position." I walked back to the staging van, popped the back door. One of the medics, tall guy, beard, quiet type, handed me the clipboard. "Vitals gears charged. Routes mapped. You running point?" I nodded. He handed me gloves. "You want him now or porch side?" "Now." I slipped them on slow. Tight fit, clean grip. The way I needed it. I double-checked the folder, proxy form, doctor's intake letter, ID copy, list of current symptoms. Everything in legal order, everything airtight. I gave Gabe the nod. He opened the passenger door, stepped out first. The second medic followed, gear slung over his shoulder like we were heading into a fire scene. We didn't run, we didn't rush, we walked. Down that street like it was ours, like we were answering a call. Because we were. Neighbors peeked from behind blinds. A kid on a bike stopped pedaling and just stared. One guy across the street lowered his morning paper, eyes wide. I didn't look at them. I kept my eyes locked on the front porch. By the time we hit the walkway, I could hear someone inside shuffle toward the door. Then it opened. Both of them were standing there, my mom with her hand still on the knob, my dad behind her, half hidden in shadow like always. My mom's jaw dropped when she saw the uniforms. What is this?" she asked. I didn't answer. We stepped up the porch, clipboard in my left hand, folder in my right. No yelling, no chaos, just business. And we were just getting started. My mom stepped forward and planted herself in the doorway, blocking our path like she thought she could physically stop this. "He's not going anywhere," she said, voice shaking but trying to sound firm. Gabe didn't flinch. He moved up beside me, raised the clipboard, and held it calmly between them like a barrier. "Ma'am, this is a medical retrieval authorized under legal proxy." "Please step aside." My dad appeared behind her, his hand gripping the edge of the door like he might slam it shut. "I need you both to listen carefully," I said, stepping to the side and pulling out the proxy form. I held it out, close enough for them to see the signature. "This isn't a request. This is a legal directive. I have full medical authority, and I'm exercising it right now." "You're overstepping," my mom snapped. "This is our home. We're his family." "No," I said. "I'm his proxy." "That trumps everything. You interfere, and you're in violation of elder care law under Oregon State Code. Do you want me to make the next call to Adult Protective Services?" That hit. I saw my dad's grip loosen slightly on the doorframe. My mom glanced back at him, then at the neighbors across the street who were definitely watching now. They didn't expect this. Not the van, not the uniforms, not the law on my side. "Move," I said. She stepped back first. Inside, the house was dim and still. The air felt stale, like no one had opened a window in weeks. Old carpet, old food, old dust. I moved past the kitchen and turned toward the living room. There he was, slumped in his recliner, a blanket over his lap. He looked thinner than I remembered, skin papery, lips dry, his breath shallow. But his eyes opened when I got close. "Hey," I said, kneeling beside him. "It's me. You remember what you wrote me after Grandma passed?" His lips curled into the faintest smile. He blinked once, slow and steady. That was enough. "I'm here to get you help. You're not staying like this anymore." He nodded barely, but it was there. No hesitation, no fear, just relief. I turned to the medic. "Vitals?" The medic stepped forward, gentle and efficient. "Sir, we're gonna help you up real careful, all right?" Gabe moved beside me and unfolded the collapsible transport chair. No stretcher, no drama. Just calm, quiet procedure. Dignity. As they started their work, I looked back and caught my mom standing in the hallway, arms crossed, jaw clenched. "He doesn't want to go," she said. He nodded, I replied. "He knows what this is. You lost the right to guess for him when you ignored what he needed." "We were protecting him," my dad muttered from the other side of the room. "No, you were protecting yourselves from having to admit how bad it's gotten." The medics wrapped a blanket around Grandpa's shoulders and lifted him gently. He didn't resist. He didn't ask questions. He trusted me. As we made our way to the door, my mom spoke again, sharper this time. "You're making a mistake. You're going to traumatize him." I turned around at the threshold, folder still in hand, and locked eyes with both of them. "You interfere again. If you try to block intake, call the clinic, or mess with anything going forward, I file for elder neglect. And I will press charges. Don't test me." My dad's mouth opened, but he didn't speak. My mom looked like she wanted to cry, but for once, she kept it together. We stepped off the porch. The sunlight hit his face as the breeze moved the blanket. He closed his eyes and breathed. For the first time all morning, he looked peaceful. And for the first time in years, I didn't care what they thought of me. The ride to the clinic was dead quiet. No small talk, no questions. Just the soft hum of the van tires on the back roads and the occasional beep from the vitals monitor. Grandpa sat strapped in the transport chair, wrapped in a clean blanket, oxygen tube running under his nose. His head stayed tilted slightly toward the window, like he was trying to track the trees going by. He looked weak, but something in his posture had shifted. Lighter, like the fight wasn't just on him anymore. Gabe drove like a machine, steady, precise, no wasted motion. The medic next to Grandpa checked vitals every couple minutes without saying much. I sat up front, one arm braced against the window, folder in my lap. I didn't say a word. When we pulled into the Rural Health Center's side entrance, the team was already waiting. 2 nurses, a tech, and doctor. Shaw in her scrubs, hair tied back, tablet in hand. They moved fast. "Bring him straight to room 2, she said, stepping aside to let the medics unload. "I've got labs ready, portable X-ray on standby." I followed behind but stayed out of the way, keeping near the door. Inside, they worked with tight efficiency, oxygen saturation, low, temperature, spiking, lungs, crackling. They had him out of the chair, hooked to monitors, blood drawn, portable X-ray wheeled in, all in under 15 minutes. Dr. Shaw glanced at me once across the room, then again after reviewing the scan. She walked over, calm but serious. "He's got pneumonia, moderate to severe, right lungs full of fluid, oxygen's way below baseline. He's dehydrated, and from what I can tell, he hasn't eaten properly in days." I nodded once, didn't blink. She lowered her voice. "If you waited even a few more days, this might have ended differently." I swallowed that. Hard. She put a hand on my shoulder. "You got him here. That's what matters now." They moved him into a recovery bed, gave him antibiotics through IV, started fluids, bumped his oxygen. I could see his color starting to come back already, just barely. But it was enough. I stepped into the hallway to breathe, and there they were. My parents, sitting in the waiting room like they were just visiting a friend. My dad staring down at the floor. My mom gripping her purse with both hands like it was a weapon. They must have followed us from the house. I didn't say anything for a second, just stood there, hands at my sides, the adrenaline still fading. My mom stood up first. "How is he?" I didn't move. "Before you see him, we talk." She blinked like she didn't understand. I repeated it, louder. "We talk." First, my dad stood slowly. He looked older now, smaller. I nodded toward the consultation room off to the side. "In there. Let's go." They didn't argue, not this time. I held the door open and let them walk in ahead of me. Because I wasn't just the kid anymore. I was the one in charge now. The door clicked shut behind us. The patient advocate, Maria, sat across from my parents at the small round table, tablet in hand, neutral expression locked in place. I didn't sit. I stood behind the chair, folder pressed against my hip like a weapon. Maria started soft. "We're here to clarify legal roles and make sure everyone understands the expectations going forward." My mom gave her a weak smile. "We're just trying to do what's best." I cut her off. "Stop! You had your shot at that." My dad shifted in his chair. "You don't need to talk to her like that." "No?" I opened the folder and slapped the first sheet down on the table. "That's the medical power of attorney Grandpa signed 4 years ago. Legally binding, witnessed, and notarized. You knew about it." "We didn't think it still applied," my mom said, eyes darting toward Maria. "He seemed fine back then." I laid down the next sheet. "That's the letter he wrote me. Told me to act if things went bad." Guess what? Things went bad. Maria tapped her tablet. "As his legal proxy, your child here had full authority to act in his best interest the moment signs of cognitive or physical decline became clear. Withholding care could qualify as medical negligence under Oregon state statute." My dad sat back, jaw clenched. I pulled out a third paper. "And this? This is a copy of the new insurance policy I found on your desk. Updated last month, increased payout, listed both of you as primary beneficiaries." My mom's voice cracked. That was just routine?" "You knew he was declining, and instead of getting him help, you updated financials and ignored everything else." My dad shook his head. "We weren't ignoring anything. You turned Caleb away. You lied to me on the phone. You kept him isolated while he got worse and worse. That's not just bad judgment. That's deliberate." They didn't speak. I tossed the last paper onto the table. Home deed transfer documents with blank signature lines, clearly mid-prep. You weren't planning for his care. You were planning for his death. Maria stayed calm, but she looked between them with less sympathy now. Whether intentional or not, the pattern here is serious, and if it continues, the state will get involved. Do you understand? My mom had gone pale. My dad looked at the floor like it might offer him a better excuse. The door opened behind me, and Dr. Shaw stepped in, clipboard in hand. She didn't sit either. He has bacterial pneumonia with moderate fluid infiltration, she said flatly. He was hypoxic when he arrived. If he'd gone another 48 hours without medical intervention, there's a real chance he wouldn't have survived. I want you to hear that clearly, my mom whispered. We didn't know it was that bad. I turned to her. Because you didn't want to know. Dr. Shaw looked at Maria. What's the legal plan? Maria pulled up a new document. We're executing a care directive today. Moving forward, all medical decisions go through the proxy. That includes treatment, follow-ups, rehab, and financial coordination. Any interference, and it becomes a reportable offense. She turned the screen toward them and handed over a stylus. My dad reached for it first, signed without a word. My mom hesitated, looked at me with eyes that wanted pity. I gave her nothing. She signed, not out of guilt, out of cornered silence. Maria saved the doc and tapped the screen off. It's done. You'll be kept informed of his condition, but you no longer have authority in his care. Dr. Shaw added, we'll keep him for monitoring and treatment. When he's stable, we'll move to step-down care. Proxy will handle those details. I picked up the folder and tucked it under my arm. My dad finally spoke. We didn't mean for it to get this far. Yeah, I said, but you let it. And now? I wasn't letting you near him again unless I said so. By the end of the week, he could sit up without help. Breathing still rough, but clearer. Color back in his face. He even cracked a joke at lunch when the pudding tray came with 2 spoons. That was when I decided it was time. I booked the outdoor garden behind the clinic. Nothing fancy, just a gravel path, folding chairs, and some potted flowers the nurses had planted. I printed flyers. Community appreciation for a local hero, fire volunteer and mentor, Harold Ross. Gabe helped spread the word. Caleb called the church, and people showed up. By 10:30, a small crowd had filled the space. Some folks in lawn chairs, some standing near the edges. Old neighbors from the cul-de-sac, the pastor from his church. 3 of the high school seniors he used to coach in junior fire program, now grown. I wheeled him out in his old jacket, faded red, stitched patch over the left chest, collar a little frayed. He didn't say much, but he kept nodding at people like he couldn't believe they still remembered. The mayor even showed up, gave a short speech, standard stuff, pillar of the community, decades of service, that kind of thing. Grandpa didn't smile much, but I saw the way his hands rested easier on the chair arms. Toward the back, I spotted my parents, standing stiff by the fence like they were waiting for permission to exist there. They weren't going to get away with that. I left the chair with Caleb and walked over. Didn't raise my voice, just said, "Come with me." My mom's eyes went wide. "Here?" I didn't answer, just turned and walked back toward the center. After a second, I heard their steps behind me. I stopped right in front of Grandpa. "He's not looking for apologies," I said quietly, "but you are going to acknowledge him. Publicly." Today they froze. Then I said, without turning my head, "Kneel." My dad hesitated. My mom looked at the crowd. "Kneel." And they did. Slowly, knees crunching onto the gravel. My mom looked down. My dad looked up at Grandpa, then away. Grandpa didn't say anything for a full 5 seconds. Then he lifted his hand and gave the smallest nod I've ever seen. That was it. That nod landed like a gavel. Everybody saw it. Nobody needed it explained. No one could pretend anymore. The truth was out. Afterward, people came in waves. A nurse gave him a sunflower someone left on the check-in desk. A middle schooler who looked terrified handed him a folded card that said, "Thank you for being brave." "I want to be like you." He smiled. Not big, not dramatic, just real. Like it cost him something, but he gave it anyway. I stood behind the chair the whole time, because that was where I was supposed to be. Back inside, the nurse helped ease him back into bed. He looked tired but solid, breathing better, color in his cheeks, hands steady in his lap. I pulled a chair up beside him and sat down. "They're getting the rehab center ready," I said. "Step-down care, full recovery plan. No going back to the house." He nodded slowly, eyes half closed. "I'm handling the discharge," I added. "No more loose ends." "Everything goes through me from now on." The patient advocate stepped in with a clipboard. "Care teams approved. We've got home health lined up for post-rehab, new P.O. box in your name, and direct deposit's been rerouted. I looked at Grandpa. They're not touching your money again. He gave the smallest smile. They mean well. They didn't act like it. He didn't argue, just closed his eyes for a second, then opened them. I stood. I told them what I expect. Your things delivered to the rehab center. Full list. If they don't follow through, they lose all access. Period. He nodded again, firm this time. Then he looked at me. Truth's not loud, he said, voice dry but clear. It's steady. I leaned down and squeezed his shoulder. Then I'll keep it steady. No theatrics, no grand speech. Just that. I walked out of the room, pulled my phone, and sent 3 quick texts. To Pastor Lee. Thanks for coming. He noticed to the neighbor, Mrs. Langford. He'll be safe now. You were right to worry to the local reporter. If you want to do a story, now's the time. Not about me, about him. This wasn't revenge. This was making sure nobody ever tried to write him off again. Not while I was still breathing.